Hello and welcome to Creature Features. You know what I love? The Universal Monsters. Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Phantom of the Opera, they all appeared in revolutionary films that completely changed the face of cinema. They're some of Hollywood's favourite characters to use over and over, and I can't wait to see how they bring them back soon. One of the lesser used characters from the stable is the subject of this video, the Invisible Man. Released in 1933, The Invisible Man was directed by James Whale, hot on the heels of his success with Frankenstein. Based on the H.G. Wells book of the same name, it tells the story of Dr. Jack Griffin, played by Claude Rains, who has, through strange science, rendered himself invisible. He turns up one snowy night at a small town inn demanding a room. After several days, he is discovered for what he is and ends up on the run. Driven mad by the invisibility process, he threatens his old friend Kemp to help him as he sets about creating chaos across the countryside, leaving it up to the police to track him down. This is a very interesting film. While it's often one of the less remembered of the original batch of Universal monster films, it didn't become as much of a cultural touchstone as Frankenstein or Dracula, it still really holds up as an example of quality filmmaking for the period. Much like James Whale's two Frankenstein movies, this has a brilliant atmosphere. The way they film Griffin in the early moments of the film create a sense of otherness, and when the film gets to some of the darker moments, there is a definite sense of menace. But, by and large, this thing is supremely camp. There are a whole lot of supporting characters in this who are so over the top and silly in their performances that you can't help but laugh at them. Perhaps a big part of this is that they made a movie set in England in 1930s America, so the accents are...
He's invisible, that's what's the matter with him.
Questionable. Also, some of the stuff going on in the invisibility scenes is just daft, but I think it's intentional. When you look at James Whale's two other Universal monster movies alongside this one, you soon notice the pattern. All three of them have this camp edge to them, especially Bride of Frankenstein, which came after The Invisible Man. You can only imagine this is an accident for so long, especially when he kept casting Una O'Connor. I love Una O'Connor so much. Her high-pitched voice and crazy wailing is just a delight to watch. I mean, honestly, how can anyone see her performing like this?
Go and tell him if he ain't packed up and gone in half an hour, we'll have the law into tournament.
And think they were trying to take themselves too seriously. But it isn't all camp. When it comes to the meat of the story, they play it straight, particularly with regards to Claude Rains. He plays this part brilliantly, even though most of the time he's just a voice. But what a voice!
They've asked for it, the country bumpkins. This will give them a bit of a shock.
Booming, powerful, intimidating, it is the perfect voice for this part, and combined with the invisibility effects, it's really something quite effective. This leads me to the most impressive part of the film, the effects. Created by John P. Fulton, John J. Mesko and Frank D. Williams, the visuals of the Invisible Man removing his bandages to reveal an empty space beneath is kind of astounding to see. Even though this movie is 83 years old, this effect still holds up. They created it by filming Claude Rains, or a body double, in a black velvet suit against a black velvet background, then overlaying this with a shot of the empty set where he would be appearing. Honestly, this doesn't seem too different to the modern practice of green screen and motion capture suits. Batman! This movie was way ahead of its time. Admittedly, there are points where the clothes can look a little bit see-through, but to be fair, this was hardly tested territory, and they would improve on this in later films. I think you can forgive them for a little mistake when you have a pair of trousers skipping down the street by themselves. In comparison to the original book, there is definitely some significant difference. The prime being that they gave Griffin a fiancée. This was presumably an attempt to make him somewhat more sympathetic to an audience. To a degree it works, because Claude Rains does perform the scenes against her well. However, it kind of undoes the attempted sympathy when he decides to just straight up murder people. I mean, he causes a train wreck. This could perhaps be seen as a problem with the film, that it tries to have it both ways with Griffin, but it spends far more time with him being a villain, and that was a wise move. The entertainment really does come out of him using his invisibility to do all sorts of monstrous deeds, from murder to the aforementioned train wreck to stealing this guy's bike. The man is a true menace, and it's easy to enjoy watching it all. So we have a lot of campness, an intimidating villain, and groundbreaking visual effects. All these things add up to make a pretty entertaining film experience that has aged very well. A lot of films from this period do not stand the test of time. Standards of acting change, methods of filmmaking change, and people's tastes change. But, to me at least, this film still works. And if you're not into watching older movies, you can always just wait for the remake with Johnny Depp. I mean, it's not like he's ever been in a bad remake of a classic movie.
I always thought a verruca was a type of wart you got on the bottom of your foot.
Please don't let Tim Burton anywhere near this. I'm sad now. Can we play a clip of Una O'Connor again to cheer me up?
Luncheon's at 1, and it's 1-0.
Get out!
Thanks. Until next time, this has been Creature Features.
Here we go gathering nuts in May, nuts in May, nuts in May. Here we go gathering nuts in May on a cold and frosty morning. Whoops! Reckon I ain't kept a blooming shirt.